All right, so we're going to get started here. Again, just really brief reminder and like that, thank you everyone for joining us. This is our Xing Digital Experts Corner. We are joined today by our friends at VMware, and we're going to go through some things. Just for those of you who haven't been a part of the series before, a little bit about Xing Digital. We are a Canadian owned and operated IT solutions provider. We provide network solutions, security solutions, managed service solutions, a lot like a lot of other companies out there. Difference is we love to have fun while we do it. So we're definitely going to try to bring that to today's session. It's a half-hour session. We're going to try to do Q&A format as quickly as we possibly can. The half hour just flies by, so everyone put your seatbelts on. My name is James Weiss. I am the account executive for Northern Alberta and Eastern Canada, and I will turn it over to our friend Nathalie.
Hi, everybody. My name is Natalie Bordeaux. I'm the Partner Business Manager for the Security Business Unit here at VMware, which is also known as Carbon Black. And joining me today, I have Tom Haupt. He's our Partner Solutions Engineer. He will be helping me out if there's any questions I cannot answer when we go through the presentation or the questions that James was going to ask me. And also I was happy to have Will Noel from one of our account executives at VMware who covers Western Canada. So thank you for joining us today. Just a quick overview. I'm sure everybody is familiar who VMware is, but just a quick overview. We're a leading provider in the multi-cloud services for all applications. We help organizations enable through their digital innovation with more of an enterprise control. And we offer software so businesses, they'll have that flexibility and the choice to build their digital transformation. So whether it's through application modernization, cloud, networking, anywhere workspace with remote workers and telco cloud. So we were founded in 1988. And we've been behind a lot of technical innovations throughout the years. And, we've provided a virtualization platform for IT infrastructure known as vSphere. So it's the VMware hypervisor. So just a quick glance, but I'm sure everybody is pretty familiar.
Excellent. Definitely. All right, well, let's dive right in here. We've got a short period of time and a long ways to go. I'm going to start off with one question, and hopefully everyone will be joining up with more questions as we go. First question is really easy. What is anti-malware, and why is it no longer enough?
So good question. Anti-malware, also known as antivirus, is really like a program that safeguards the systems from any type of malware, including Trojans, worms, and malware. So we're seeing a lot of new malware out there that is often going to slip through the cracks, which is why running like older computers that will be unusable with these type of viruses. So they're often they often use small databases, database of signatures, and that will not stop much. So the threat landscape that we're seeing out there, it's just worsening day by day. And security teams, they're uncovering every day like more sophisticated attacks and very successful at ransomware attacks. So it's very difficult, and they feel helpless to prevent these. So endpoint security strategies are evolving very rapidly. And especially enterprise security teams, they're struggling, right, to get their hands on the endpoint data. They need to do a lot more proactive investigation to search for those abnormal behaviors. And security and IT professionals currently, they lack that ability to see beyond all that suspicious activity, and they need a way to really, really dive deeper into that data before making their own judgments. So we're seeing a lot of trends right now for antivirus replacement. Time to respond essentially when you're trying to combat today's advanced and persistent threats that are coming. So organizations, they really need to reduce exposure to ongoing threats. They need to move quickly and fortify their defenses. So VMware Carbon Black really empowers those enterprises with a higher level of control and visibility, so they can remediate any endpoint from a central and intuitive console. So unify, simplify your security stacks. So
Yeah, super important these days.
definitely.
Excellent. Again, so how is anti-malware different from endpoint detection and response?
So while the endpoint protection platform, we also call it EPP, it provides you like a security measure to prevent those attacks. The endpoint detection and response, EDR, can proactively address those threats, after they have penetrated the organization's endpoints before they cause damage. So antivirus software is pretty much known more as legacy antivirus. So it's sort of the lowest denominator for endpoint security, whereas EDR, endpoint detection and response, it collects that data from endpoints, and it provides you with more like an advanced measure for detecting all those threats. So you have the ability to identify where an attack originated from and how it's spreading. So it's often a component of an EPP. EDR helps security analysts understand that attackers have already breached an endpoint and help them stop attacks by performing automated or manual actions, such as they can isolate endpoint from the network, so they can have a remote shell to kill any specific process or identify and stop that malicious process. So Carbon Black Cloud offers that one lightweight agent where it's next generation antivirus, EDR. You can manage any type of detection and do audit and remediation. So it really lets you choose the endpoint capabilities that's right for your team. We offer several bundles. So, and with that, you have the continuously evolving threat landscape that's out there, right? So you can't just settle checking the box to have that security layer for those security attacks that are coming your way. So whether you're looking to replace an antiquated malware prevention or just want to empower fully automated security operation process, VMware Carbon Black really meets those needs for with one console and one agent. So we do offer a complete endpoint protection platform, which is built on Carbon Black Cloud. So enterprise EDR, providing advanced threat hunting and IR functionality, IR incident response. And it's with one agent and one console, as I mentioned. We also have continuous and centralized recording. So we collect the data. So the security professionals have that information so they can make the proper decisions for when they see a breach. There's also attack chain visualization and search. So enterprise EDR provides this intuitive attack chain visualization. So you can identify the root cause and quickly. So and then live response, another feature, live response for remote remediation. So with live response, incident responders can create secure connections to infected hosts to pull or push those files away. They can kill the process, and they can do this, from anywhere in the world. Another great feature that we have is Carbon Black Cloud has a large partner ecosystem and an open platform. So we're allowing security teams to integrate products like EDR into their existing security stack. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, and that's a lot of different bundles and a lot of different methods for sure. So just with all those different ones, and one question that's popped up here in terms of pricing. So I mean, obviously specific solutions have specific prices, but can you maybe speak a little bit as to the different models of pricing that are offered with those?
So depending on the model that's available, we can work together or the bundle and see what fits to your needs, right? So we'll work with you, James, and assess those requirements that are for their environment.
Okay,
but very competitive pricing from whatever's out there, and we'll definitely work with you.
perfect. Excellent. Next question is from our group here. Is Carbon Black Next Gen AV or EDR or both? Is it an XDR as well?
Tom, would you like to address this in a?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So part of our endpoint protection platform is everything that was just mentioned there, right? Next generation antivirus, endpoint detection and response. It includes a couple other functions as well, features and functions. There's audit and remediation, which is a real-time querying tool. So it allows you to ask current state questions of your environment. Obviously, with Carbon Black being part of VMware, we have direct access to the intellectual property of vSphere. So we can, metaphorically speaking, we can sink our teeth in pretty deep there to vSphere. And when new workloads are spun up, new virtual machines are spun up, we can get automatically deployed out onto them. So there's a number of different parts of our solution. The vulnerability management's another one. So NGAV, EDR, yes, that all makes up this greater idea of XDR. XDR is very much a term that gets defined differently by any given different vendor out there. So the way that VMware defines our XDR strategy, so to speak, is that we can provide a lot of it, but there's no one vendor out there that's going to provide an all-encompassing XDR solution. So when you look across the product portfolio, everything I just mentioned there with Carbon Black, but then also you look out to Workspace ONE, you look to NSX, Tanzu, vSphere, other parts of the VMware portfolio, we can provide a lot of depth and visibility and security and monitoring across the infrastructure in that way. But at the end of the day, XDR also includes things like IDS, IPS. It includes things like SIMs. It includes those other tools where we just don't have a presence. So the overall VMware XDR messaging, or I should say strategy, is an open ecosystem XDR. So we can provide a lot, but we're also going to rely on our tech alliance partners to provide that end-to-end XDR solution.
Beautiful. Thank you, Tom. And just in almost a follow-up question here, this is a bit more generic, but it kind of gives you another kick at the cat on this one. What is the biggest way in which Carbon Black distinguishes itself from its competition in the EDR space?
Yeah, okay. So it's the data that we collect. So first off, Carbon Black was the company that defined what EDR was. We literally invented it back in 2011. So the idea here was that there were solutions on the market that collected some visibility, some information from endpoints, but there was nothing out there that collected everything. The Carbon Black founders, their vision, their mission was to create an endpoint detection and response tool that collected everything off of the endpoint. So that is the true differentiator from the Carbon Black side, is that the data that we collect, it's literally everything off of the endpoint, whether it's benign, suspicious, or malicious. It's one of those things where it's better to have that data and not need it than to need that data and not have it. And simply put, we collect all of it. Our competitors, generally speaking, don't start collecting that information until something starts to become suspicious or malicious.
Excellent. Well, it sure sounds like Carbon Black can do a lot. Does it need a big team to manage?
It does not, no. Once it is up and running, deployment is super easy, right? You can push it out from SCCM, Jamf, any other deployment tool out there. You can do a command line install, email install. So it's really easy to get pushed out there. For customers that they're purchasing their first one, we always recommend going with professional services to help with that deployment process, with that configuration process, right? Obviously, every environment is different. Every end customer environment is different. So we want to make sure that our expertise, or our experts on our side, configure that tool so it's properly set up for your environment or for the end customer's environment. Once that's there will be some fine tuning that goes on over time. And that is actually part of the beauty of Carbon Black. with our policies, they're all customizable. Again, with that theme of every end customer environment being different, you want to be able to tune this tool over time, right? You introduce a new aspect of your infrastructure or a new tool or whatever it is, you want to be able to write exclusions for certain people, for certain departments, etc. But as soon as it's configured, as soon as it's deployed, really out of the box, it already starts preventing things, giving you visibility more so than any sort of legacy antivirus out there. So no, it doesn't take a large team to manage, and there's going to be less man hours that you need to put into the tool over time as the tool gets more and more configured for your environment.
Beautiful. So, and leads right into another question here. Is Carbon Black only for enterprises, or will it work on any size company?
So it is not enterprise specific, but it works down to the SMB as well. I will say that we have a license minimum. So we do have a cutoff point where the finances don't quite make sense. So the resale minimum, if you're buying through the resale motion, the minimum for the end customer is 100 licenses. If you purchase through an MSSP, it's down to 50 licenses.
Okay.
But as Natalie said, we're getting super aggressive on matching our competitors' prices. So if you're an end customer organization that only has, say, 70, right, come to us anyway. We're going to make the finances work. You might even get some extra licenses in the process.
Beauty. Everyone loves a freebie.
And you'll get a better product, a better solution to protect you, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Yes. And as Tom was saying, we do, if you're a new customer, we do recommend professional services so your your experience is better from the get-go, right? So even if it's easy to deploy, you'll have a better overall experience, and your environment will be configured properly and secured.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. That's a great answer. All right. So it looks like we have someone who has their hand up to ask a question. Eric, can you unmute Melanie, please?
Hi. So how do we pay for it? Is it by credit card, or is it like net terms? Do we work something out?
So what I would recommend is you work with our partner, Shing Digital, either James or an account executive, so you can work the financial through them. So we sell through our partners. We will provide pricing to Shing Digital, and you can. I don't know if they take credit cards, so we'll have to discuss that with James, I guess.
We will get you looked after. If you're interested in the service and interested in the product, we will definitely find a way to take your money. Awesome. Well, thanks for the question, Melanie. Heading back, so we've got another question on the question board. How does AI come into place within anti-malware?
So definitely, AI does help, to best allocate your security defenses. There's a lot of data intensive tasks, and AI has that potential to sift through those terabytes of data much more efficiently and effectively than a human could ever do, right? So AI can detect patterns and with enormous quantities of data that just a human analyst will never be able to do. So in cybersecurity, AI is used a lot, and because it simply helps to quickly analyze those millions of events and identify those different types of threats that are out there. So this technology is self-learning system, that's automatically and it continuously gathers that data across, information systems. So yeah, and our endpoint, workload, and container protection, they do combine all that intelligent system hardening and behavioral prevention that's needed to keep all those new threats at bay, keep them away. So you have a single, easy-to-use console, and by analyzing more than, I think, 1 trillion security events per day that we can analyze. So Carbon Black Cloud really proactively uncovers those attackers' behaviors patterns. So before they get into your system. So, it really, all in all, it consolidates, security in the cloud with a single agent. We stop more attacks and, better control of your endpoints. And also it can accelerate investigations and just close those security gaps that you may have in your environment. So adding that value to your security, it's really key. So.
No, absolutely. Next question coming from the group, is Carbon Black an SaaS platform or is it on-prem?
So the endpoint protection platform that we have is SaaS, SaaS, and that is it's all cloud-based, right? And that's really where we've been putting our company focus since 2018 when we came out with Endpoint Standard, which is our next generation antivirus. Now that said, Carbon Black's actually been around since 2002. We had a product originally called Bit9, then got changed to CB protection, and now is known as app control. And basically that's an application control solution, right? So only allowing approved applications to run in approved ways. Everything else is default deny. And then in 2011, Bit9 acquired Carbon Black. For a second there, we were Bit9 plus Carbon Black, but eventually went with the sexier name of Carbon Black. And so that was the EDR solution that I was talking about earlier, right? So those two solutions, both we'll call them CB protection and CB response. Those are the most commonly known names. They're nowadays technically called, because marketing had a field day with this, app control and EDR. Yeah, it shows exactly. I work here and I still can't keep them straight, right? So they are our two on-prem solutions, and they make up a massive part of our customer base, right? Again, we've been selling these solutions since 2002 and 2011 respectively. They are very mature. They do their jobs extremely well. And there's still definitely a need for them now, right? There are some folks who are still cloud adverse, and I get that, right? You want to be able to maintain the integrity of your data. You want to have ownership of it. There are obviously compliance reasons where you need to keep something on-prem or stored, within your country. So to answer that question in a long-winded way, like I do there, yes, we have a SaaS platform, which is cloud-based, and we do have on-prem solutions as well, which are extremely mature products and very well tested.
Wonderful. Perfect. And this leads right into another question from the group. Asks, I heard it mentioned that Carbon Black was lightweight. My current antivirus takes too much memory and space.
Yeah, so we sit at less than 1% CPU. That's true across our entire endpoint protection platform. And the reason for that is it's simply our prevention model. So we get, when we're initially deployed out, when our cloud product is initially deployed out, we do a one-time initialization crawl. So we'll be scanning in the background for 24 to 72 hours. Right at that point, I'll be honest, you'll see a little bit of a spike, but up to 5% CPU. So it's nothing really noticeable, right? It's not going to interfere with the end user's day to day. At that point, or during that crawl, we're getting a baseline understanding for everything that exists on all the endpoints across the environment. Obviously, we'll pick up on any sort of malicious files at that point, malware that legacy antivirus might have missed. But after that point, all we're doing is monitoring for executables. So we have a baseline after that 72-hour initialization crawl. We have a baseline understanding for everything that is on the environment. With our cloud analytics on the back end, we know what application should be moving in what way or interacting with another application in what way. And so as applications execute over time, we're monitoring that behavior. We're applying prevention tags, behavior tags, I should say, to these behaviors. And it's the buildup of these behavior tags which will allow us to apply prevention. So because we're only monitoring the applications instead of taking that antiquated scanning approach that legacy AV takes, we're able to stay at less than 1% CPU versus the legacy antivirus, which needs to run Tuesday night, Thursday night at 3 a.m. to make sure you don't interfere with the end user's day to day. Which spikes, 60, 70, 80% CPU. We sit at less than 1% CPU. As Natalie said, we have continuous centralized recording. So 24/7, 365, we have visibility and we're gathering information on everything that's going on, but all without interfering with the end user's day to day.
Beautiful. No, that's quite an advantage over some of the competitors. So just really quick, we're right down against the clock. We've got 2 minutes left. So we've got time to squeeze in one more question. Who would some of VMware's competitors be in this field? Some of the top other providers in the industry?
You want me to take that, Nat, or you?
Yeah, well, I mean, CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, Palo Alto, there's a lot of different vendors out there. So, you know, but of course, we are the best.
Of course.
Yeah, so just broadly speaking on those, I mean, obviously, you know, we're not going to come here and vendor bash any of our competition.
No,
but just in terms of the way that we differentiate, you know, I mentioned the data that we collect earlier. I mentioned the ability to customize our tool, right? So it's custom policies. It's not just toggle switch approaches. So you can think of our policy set, instead of just being a light switch, which you can turn on or off, we have more of a dimmer switch. So you can find that sweet spot, right? And then it's also our data retention. So out of the box, anything that is any benign data, we're going to hold on to for 30 days. Anything that is related to suspicious or malicious activity, we're going to hold on to for 180 days. I'll let you all do your research on whichever competitor that you're looking against, but I can tell you right here, we're going to retain that data for longer. And again, going back to something I mentioned earlier, it's better to have that data and not need it than to need it and not have it.
Oh, absolutely. Excellent. All right.
Definitely. And if I can just add, if you're already
sure.
a VMware customer, you know, you're probably running vSphere. We do offer, you know, workload protection. So we have a really complete story, not just, you know, for endpoints. So protecting workloads, protecting your network, your cloud, you know, that really resonates well with customers.
No, absolutely. Excellent. Well, listen, guys, we've hit up against 3:30. I told you the half hour would fly by. Just want to stop really quickly and say thank you so much, Natalie, and to the VMware team. You guys are amazing. We appreciate your coming on today and appreciate the insights. Thank you, everyone, for logging on. We appreciate your time and want to be respectful of it, or else we could probably sit here all afternoon and chat about this. But that being said, if we didn't get to your question or you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Myself or Dorota or anyone here at Xing would be more than happy to work with you and get those questions answered. Thank you guys so much, and we look forward to seeing everyone back in 2 weeks.
Thank you for inviting us.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Bye. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.